How exactly do you do a review of a soundtrack album when you haven't seen the movie? It's not that easy of a thing to do. But fortunately, a great artist, great rap artist from Atlanta is going to be releasing a movie very soon, and he has already released the soundtrack. I'm of course talking about 21 Savage and American Dream, but no, actually I'm talking about Childish Gambino with Bando Stone and the New World, and I decided I want to talk about the album first. I've seen the trailer, the movie looks great, but this still left me with a problem. How do I approach this album? So I am a professor, full-time professor, that's my job, and I often will tell students, don't just start with Wikipedia, and certainly don't just quote Wikipedia, and certainly don't start your presentation by quoting Wikipedia, but hey, it's summer. I'm going to actually start with Wikipedia because that's the way I'm going to approach the video, is things that I learned in the descriptions of the project given by Donald Glover himself. So the story is about Donald Glover's character, Bando Stone, and he's in some kind of he's in like some kind of a post-apocalyptic world where there's like these lasers and prehistoric beasts that are chasing this woman and her son, and he kind of joins them, and it's actually a big metaphor for the fact that he is an artist who doesn't know what he wants to do. It's a great big metaphor about like, what do I do with myself as an artist set against this fantastic backdrop, okay? Fascinating. Wonderful. That's one aspect that you hear in this soundtrack. The other bit is this idea that he's saying this is his final project as Childish Gambino. And this is what he said. He focused on making anthemic songs, allowing for a sense of togetherness when played in large rooms. He also focused on not shying away from wholesomeness and joy on the record, saying, quote, "No one on their deathbed is going to look back and say, 'Thank God I avoided being cringe.'" Thank you, Mr. Gambino. Thank you, Mr. Glover. Okay? That, as a certified cringe dad, I can tell you that is proper. That is the answer. That's the answer to life. Like, that's the thing. This album fundamentally boils down to be a cringe dad. That's what it is. He's a dadvocate. He is a cringe dadvocate in this album, and that's the beauty. Who is he going to be as an artist? He's going to be a father. Beautiful. Now listen, it's a Who Am I album, right? It's a who am I? What kind of artist should I be? What kind of person should I be? What kind of person can I be, right? But there is a villain, and the villain is not himself. And the villain certainly isn't the lasers or prehistoric saber-toothed tigers or whatever is going to be in the movie. It's these two ghosts. It's the ghosts of could be. Who could Childish Gambino be? What terrible fate could befall him if he did not give in to being a cringe dad? He could become Drake or Kanye. Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor. I'm in my office trying to find a good place to record here. It's a new office. They don't turn on air conditioning, apparently on this side of the building. So I am getting, as they say, hot. But it's cool, my salary is paid by the state. So that means that the state of New York is not paying for me to be cool. So if you can handle me sweating a little bit, I can handle sweating a little bit. So let's get back to this theory of Drake and Kanye as being these phantoms of this album. Now, I have watched exactly one video about this album, Justin Hunt's excellent video about how the song Yoshinoya is like a diss track against Drake. And while I think that's a convincing argument, and I think you can make the argument that there are certain parts of this album which are targeted at Drake and at Ye, but who's it at, right? Who's it at? I don't think that's actually the point. I don't think it's about attacking them. I think he is attacking the Drake inside of himself. The Ye inside of himself, because he's unique. There's very few people. Okay, there's no one like him. Unique actually just means there's only one person, right? Donald Glover is unique because of his ability to seemingly incarnate so much of what these two great geniuses do. And yes, I know I'm famous for being a Drake hater. I do think he is a certain kind of genius. Not the same kind as Donald Glover, not the same kind as Ye, but I still think he deserves respect. Donald Glover, to compare to Drake is easy. He was a famous actor who then became a singery rapper who goes between genres and is sort of a day walker between black and white cultures and black and white spaces and sort of do all those things while being spectacularly rich. Okay? But then he's also very Ye-like in the way that he is a multi-hyphenate. That he's able to act in movies and TV and be a pop star and produce and rap and be a writer and do all of those things. He has that insane megalomaniacal ability within him, and you can feel it in his music. And I think sometimes you see it pop up in his interviews, and I think that's why some people mistakenly think that he's not a nice guy. I can tell you, he's a nice guy. This album tells me he's a nice guy. He probably just doesn't like being interviewed by idiots, right? So those things are inside of him. And that's what I think this album is about. It's about overcoming the inner Drake, the inner Ye, to become Donald Glover, which is why he has to shed Childish Gambino, because Donald Glover is a cringe dad. And he is absolutely right. Never be afraid of being cringe. At least once you're an adult. If you're in high school, whatever, fine. But once you're an adult, you can't be embarrassed if you can't be embarrassed. Okay? That's a little witticism I just came up with right now. But you can get it tattooed on your forehead, all right? And what's interesting is the figures of Drake and Ye both exhibit a certain kind of freedom. You know, like Drake has the financial freedom. You know, he does whatever he wants. He can sleep with whoever he wants. He has not just a jet, he has an entire 747. He is totally free. He is totally free of people who he depends on. And in a similar way, so is Ye. Ye is a complete and total self-contained mega genius. But what's the similarity between these two men? The similarity between these two men is that they are both very lonely, very, very lonely people. And that's the problem, is that we are sold as a civilization. I don't know if it's the American dream. I don't know if it's a capitalist thing. I don't know at what point we were told. But we have a particular vision of freedom, which is actually very lonely and sad. That vision of freedom is that no one depends on you and you depend on no one else. That vision is, if you'll excuse my language, complete bullshit. It just leads to sadness. And this is, listen, I'm in my office. I'm happy to be here because I'm surrounded by all my books. You know, I did my undergraduate, my thesis. I did my thesis largely on the work of Molière, okay, who was a comedic playwright in 17th century France. And I want to tie it in together because he did an interesting thing in his plays. All of his plays are comedies. Okay, most of his plays are comedies, and most of those comedies have a central male figure who is a father. That father is driven by something called monomania. He has a single idea in his head, and he will pursue that idea no matter what. That idea might be to become noble, yet the fact he's born bourgeois. It might be to be a very pious person. It might be to be very rich. Whatever it is, that singular drive of that character, which in our parlance we'd call grind set, you know, we would like think of it as a good thing, is in reality a danger to his entire family. Because that's the problem, right? Anybody who is the center of a family or a part of a family or who has people depend on them. It's like we have this whole belief, you know, patriarchal societies or hierarchical societies, you know, that you have to serve the king, you have to serve your parents, you have to serve your father. That's true, but it's reciprocal. They have to serve you. They have to put your needs ahead of their own. If they don't, the whole system crumbles. That's what his plays are about. They are about fathers who do not serve their families, who serve their own inner vision, and they want to be non-contingent. Okay? They want to avoid their obligations. In the middle of obligation is ligare in Latin, which is the same word like from religion, like connected. Connected. They want to be free, non-contingent, not connected. And so they get punished by comedy and eventually end up, the family gets saved, and because it's a comedy, not a tragedy, and they're saved. If you want to read stories of 17th century France where the fathers are not corrected and the families fall apart, read A Tragedy by Racine. But this is the important thing. Drake and Kanye cannot be good fathers if their goal is non-contingency, if their goal is their drive, is their monomania, is either to be, let's say that the goal for Drake is power, and let's say that the goal for Kanye is creativity, okay? Just pure creation and pure power. Fundamentally, that's going to lead to them being lonely, and that's what threatens Donald Glover. He is in danger of becoming Childish Gambino. He is in danger of becoming Bando Stone, I assume. He's in danger of becoming one of these half people who's so driven by the grind set that they cannot and do not serve the people that they must serve. Which is why, when you pay attention to the album, not only is fatherhood a huge theme, not only do we hear his child all the way throughout the album, but we constantly hear this idea of survival. You know, that's why I think he's wearing a Spam hat. Not just because I think the movie takes place in Hawaii and Spam's very popular in Hawaii, but the reason that Spam is popular in a lot of the world, and the reason why it's hated in a lot of the world, is this is a food of survival, okay? It's a very important food in many places in the world. Did you know in Korea, if you give people a can of Spam, it's like the sign of greatest respect because it reminds them of the wartime when this was like the only food they had, and it reminds them both of their shame and pride all at the same time? Do you know the importance of a can of Spam? It's very important. It's very important in many cultures. My wife grew up during the troubles in Yugoslavia. I'm not bringing this home. I'm not bringing this can home. Canned pork shoulder has a lot of very interesting connotations, especially around survival. So it's a survival that he's talking about, and obviously in the movie it's physical survival because the saber-toothed laser cats are coming after him, based on what I saw in the trailer. But it's not. It's spiritual survival. This is about how do you survive, and the way you survive is you become cringe, which is why the antithesis, it's always like, why am I getting high? Why am I getting drunk? It's the summer. Soon will be the summer. Summer. All these selfish drives of summer and getting high and all of this. It's constantly at war with this greater sense of survival. And the way that you get out of survival, there's nothing you can do that can't be done. There's nothing you can sing that can't be sung. All you need is love. That's actually the message of this album. I just gave myself goosebumps, you goofball. What's up with that? I did. Because it's about love. Love and service to others, in particular to your children. I'm not going to do a stamp on this album. I'm just going to go through it because I think it has a very consistent flow. If you like what you see, AVAA stands for awesome video as always. I will always heart a comment that says that. I will always, all you need is love that. You can smash like bucket, subscribe. I think it's good. I think this is a nice kind of setup, having my books in the background. I mean, it makes me look like a tryhard, but hey, I am trying hard. So the first track is called Hearts Were Meant to Fly, totally self-produced. Great quote from the movie Are We Going to Die? Not Tonight. These kind of shuffling organs, and then some very Hudson Mohawk style low horns. I was listening to this in the morning while I was washing my toddler's hands because she eats yogurt like a savage. She just picks up yogurt with her hands and just right. And seriously, this came on and she just goes dot 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 dot. Like she hears the horns. She's pre-verbal, but she heard the horns and she did that, you know. And there's so many different voices and change production. Like there's all these things going on here, and this to me is very clearly in conversation with his inner Ye. This is him looking in the mirror and saying, I might turn out to be Ye. I mean, listen to these lyrics. How are these lyrics not Kanye lyrics from like 2018? Everybody hatin' wanna get like me. Everybody Satan, I'm G-O-D. Ain't nobody living, got my POV. Name another who got ish on me. Shoot a mother effer, I'm the new Spike Lee. Everybody know me, I don't need ID. Everybody hatin' wanna get like me. Everybody Satan, I'm G-O-D. Like this kind of like I am a god, megalomania. Everyone wants to be me, no one can see where I am. Like he's in that space. And it's the space he has to get out of. Now, of course, much like Ye, this song freaking rules. All right? It freaking rules. Yeah, I'm going to talk like a Californian surfer. Because this is the closest I have to a Hawaiian shirt, by the way. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. I actually have a pretty important meeting pretty soon. I'm going to look like a jackass. Almost like a Caribbean rhythm, sort of a dance hall thing, and then like another beat change with like these weird tight sounds, and there's like faint reggae influence throughout the entire album. Then we get to Lithonia. I need you to listen to me. I need you to listen to me. Nobody fucking cares. A beautiful... first one, new office. This gets a spin. Gets a spin. Because nobody fucking cares is actually an affirming statement. Because you live your whole life and you think that everybody cares and everyone's out to get you and everybody thinks about you all the time. But the truth is, and this will set you free, Jeebus, Nobody fucking cares. So just don't worry about it. Whatever the thing is that you think is the most important thing, nobody fucking cares. Be free. Be free of that fact. Because when nobody fucking cares, you don't have to care about what anybody fucking thinks. You can just do what you need to do as a man, as a woman, as a non-binary adult. Okay? Whatever kind of adult you are, you can just do those things. Cody LeRae had a break, found out that nobody gives a fuck. I love it. I love it. That's his freedom. His true freedom doesn't come from getting rich and from being a god in his POV. His true freedom just comes from like, nobody cares. And it sounds like 2016, 2018, yay. I mean, it sounds like Ghost Town Part 3. And then he even sings, I feel liberated, over-medicated. That is a yay lyric. I was overrated. No, it was overrated. I mean, even liberated. How do you not think? Come on. Get the hell, wherever you're sitting, you leave that place right now. Because you know, if you say, I feel liberated, everybody who knows Donald Glover's music also knows Father Stretch My Hands Part 1 and knows Kid Cudi saying, I just want to feel liberated. It's just, I want to feel liberated. He's right there, liberated. I want to feel liberated. I feel liberated. Liberated. Freedom, okay? What is true freedom? Okay? What is survival? How can we have a freedom that is different than non-contingency? How do we have freedom that is not loneliness? And it becomes basically a Weezer song. You know, he said it. He's trying to be epic. And he makes reference to Lithonia, which I guess is a mountain range in his own home. So there we go. It's also sort of constantly connecting. Like, this doesn't feel like a soundtrack. This feels like it's just a Childish Gambino album. Next track is called Survive, featuring Chloe. Here he starts off singing, and he sings a lot like Stevie Wonder. And here's a fun thing to do. You sing like Stevie Wonder. It's very difficult. He really does it very well. These sort of lyrics again where he's like taking shots on Drink Champs, and it feels like he's talking about Ye, but then he brings it back and talks about how his kid is watching Bluey like a Crip. That's the whole point. That's the whole thing. I swear to God, Kendrick heard this lyric and was like, damn, I wish I wrote that, you know? I never tried a Kendrick impersonation. It's pretty good. It wasn't, you know, like that's it, right? Like that's where you should be. That is a cringy line. And no one ever went to their deathbed saying, I wish I wasn't as cringe. When I die, say I died for the culture. You got a podcast because you can't rap. It's really this, who am I as an artist? All these different things that artists try to do to stay relevant, when what they really need to do is watch Bluey with their kid. I've never watched Bluey. My daughter's not old enough. I only let her watch The Yellow Submarine. That's the only thing we watch together. So she loves Ringo, not Bluey. I'm sure it's great. When my daughter learns to love TV, or when she has a favorite show, I will watch that show with her. I will know what it is. I will know how to make jokes about it. I will be connected to it, because that's what you have to do when you're a father, when you're a mother. Okay? You don't just, whatever my kid's doing, you connect. And then there's a little sax solo. No one ever died thinking, I wish I wasn't cringy. Steps Beach, a nice easy acoustic guitar, kind of oohs and awing, and his very sweet real voice, and the summer's always coming, and seems to be more of like thoughtful about his life and getting straight C's. Just how genreless this whole album is. Even when we argue I'm in love with you, this feels like it's a love song. I am alone on planet Earth in saying that I thought The Big Day by Chance the Rapper wasn't a very bad album. Okay? I understand the criticisms, but I thought there were some nice things about that album. Maybe Chance the Rapper is the one person who will go to their deathbed saying, I wish I wasn't so cringe, because people found that album cringy. But I think thematically, it's actually not that far from this album, because it was an attempt to be genuine and in love. Next song is called Talk My Ish, featuring Amare and Flo Milli, and here we have the first Drake song. So we've had a couple Kanye songs, then we have what seems like just a straight-up Donald Glover song, and then Talk My Ish, and you know, like... What's funny is it starts off with this whole quote like, can you start a fire? Can you hunt? Can you fish? And he just goes, I can sing. And it's about like the uselessness of his skills in a post-apocalyptic world. I think about this a lot because my wife is someone who I love very much. And she's like, you know, she was like a former scout champion in Serbia and stuff. And like she can like make fires and do first aid, and she's a really good scientist, and she's a really good cook. And like if any kind of a post-apocalyptic situation happens, I am seriously going to be there, like, providing entertainment by the fire. I'm going to be, like, making interesting points about previous post-apocalyptic literature and films. This reminds me of Michael Haneke's Time of the Wolf, a rather underrated dour piece about the end of the world, made by, like, that's what I can do. That's what I can bring. I can sing. But hey, it still matters. Weirdly enough, when I listen to music, I also watch movies on mute because I'm so ADD. I was watching Adventureland, which is a post-apocalyptic movie, and it starts off with Mark Zuckerberg, Jesse Ice, whatever, the guy who plays Mark Zuckerberg, Jesse something or other. I know the actor in that movie's brother is a fantasy baseball commentator. I just don't remember the last name. Point is, he says, I'm not even qualified for manual labor because he's going to grad school, but he can't get a job cutting lawns, right? Anyways, and this is where he's like acting tough, and the same way that it felt to me like he was doing an impersonation of Ye, this feels like he's doing an impersonation of Drake. Even the way he's saying, like, she ain't never seen the inside of a Hyatt, and, like, what's a yacht? Like, putting down women for being poor. Like, putting down women he's seducing for being poor. I'm running up on ya. I'm there in a minute, haha, I did it myself, a million bajillion, I made every penny, haha. Just this kind of ego trip, this kind of power thing, just even the flow that he has is just very Drake-ish. The chorus by Flo Milli is very cute and funny, and then this Amari verse is great. I don't know Amari very well. Please tell me in the comments, what do I need to know about Amari? Because she's got this great wild voice, and this cool kind of weird gender swapping, like about nutting on your face and having 50 baby mamas. It's just great. This great choir in the back, this crazy synth work. This album is so well produced. It's so well produced. This weird pitch down voice. White boy paid gonna like it on TikTok, something like that. Got to be another song about being messed up on the weekend. Chill, gentle voice, and then it jumps into a sample from Prodigy. Yo, the victim. Hey, the 90s, great time, Clinton was in the White House. Other stuff was happening. This is one of the best albums of the 90s, he said, hoping it didn't come out actually in 2000. I don't have my glasses. I can't read that. It doesn't matter whether it was from the 90s or not. It's from the 90s. It's a great album. That's where the sample comes from. It's a nice... I believe it's Breathe. Or is it... What song is it even off of? I really should have looked that up before. I'm pretty sure it's Breathe. Or it's Firestarter. No, it's Breathe. It's just a beautiful song, great warped up voice, more quotes from the movie, and then we get to the song Real Love. Hey, better than the stupid Jeff Lynne Beatles song. Kind of a gentle Weezer-like song. At most of the time, the rock in this album sounds kind of Weezer. It's a little bit overproduced, great style shift, but then we get to this wonderful benediction. I'm hoping that you find real love, because love is the answer. Love is all you need. In the Night is the next song featuring Georgia Smith and again Amari. Wait, is she in 2 songs in this album? I see, now I'm starting to doubt myself. I think I might have taken bad notes. If I took bad notes, you got to put in the comments, Skye, you took bad notes. You need to edit your videos. Just a country boy from Georgia, your body's from California. That's a bad lyric. Not a fan. I didn't like the song, but it keeps going, and then you just submit to the production. This weird kind of like 80s pop reggae keyboard sounds, and the sweet song about being overwhelmed that just keeps developing. Like even when he delivers a clunker, like he keeps developing it until you like it more. And then there's like some weird Afrobeat rhythms going on in the back, and a cool little solo. Then we get to Yoshinoya, this great sort of weird sound, like it sounds like Kubrick soundtrack synthesizers. Cool backward sounds coming in at the end of the expression. And again, apparently this whole song is a diss on Drake, according to Justin Hunt. If you haven't seen his video, punch yourself in the face. But I really see it as him both commenting on Drake and the fear of himself. Don't know no one BD, but they depended on me, right? So, right, like talking about gang members and all that, and they don't know where I'm at. I found your house on an app. People around you ain't slat. They pardon hard when you slat. Like, it's this whole, like, idea of, like, this fear of being surrounded by people and, like, trying to take on their toughness. Like, as I said in one of my more recent Drake videos, that Drake outsources masculinity to his shooters and his hitters, But then we have this great lyric. I'm right when I'm right. Fuck with my kids, you fuck with your life. You fucking these hoes, I'm fucking my wife. Once again, in my review of Vultures, I showed the meme of Kirk Van Houten, recently divorced, talking to Homer Simpson, pointing to a race car bed and said, I sleep in a race car. Do you? And Homer says, no, I sleep in a bed with my wife. Oh, yeah. Like, that's the whole idea. You know, Drake and Ye are just sleeping in race cars. You know? They get to sleep in a race car every night. But Homer Glover, he gets to sleep with his effing wife. Beautiful. Beautiful lyric. Because that's the truth. The dream of non-contingency, the dream of like non-monogamy, and that you get to be with as many women as you want and you have all the power. At the end of it, you have nothing. Poof. I'm telling you, obligation. It's underrated. The voice gets all kind of cut up with this beat change, like, got the music. Now his career's in a blunt, rappers cosplay, the industry Comic-Con, the industry evil people, me and fam got a trauma bond like the Autobahn, these almost 50 dressing like a hype beast. You know, these great lyrics where he's really talking about the difficulty. Again, another great Black American genius, Chris Rock, once made a sketch called The Old Guy in the Club. You know, you don't want to be the old guy at the club. What was that impression? What was that? That was a half-hearted impression because I realized, is it possible for a white guy to do a non-racist impersonation of Chris Rock? And so I gave up halfway through. So I'm going to do it like Bugs Bunny. Yeah, you don't want to be the old guy in the club, right? That's what he said. And like, this is the truth, you know, like, you're almost 50 and you're dressing like a hype beast. You know, how many of these rappers, you know, they're getting up there in age, they're getting older, they have families, and they're dressing like a hype beast. How's it going, fellow kids? You know, this is painful, but this is the beauty, right? What's more cringe? A 50-year-old dude dressed up like a hype beast, or a 40-year-old father singing with his kid? Again, reminds me of the big day, positively. Can you feel me? You never heard of Shaka Khan? I guess you can't believe that this little kid in the movie has never heard of Shaka Khan. It's fair. Shaka Khan's great, but not a lot of people have heard of Shaka Khan these days. And then this song is just wild. Like, this is maybe my favorite song on the album because it's we've gone through. Like, I sort of think of life as a jungle, you know, like you have to get through the jungle to get to the clearing, you know, and like there's different things that are your jungle. You know, I went through a very tumultuous period after college, bad marriage, you know, I had to really cut my way through the jungle to get to the other side. This album's felt like this fight with these kinds of artists, these kinds of people he could be, and now he has a duet with his own son, with Legend Glover, okay? And it's just back and forth. It's this like vaguely African sounding singing with the whole alphabet through, reminding you of kids. And then when they sing together, it's unbelievable. This, again, I pointed this out in the Not Like Us video, and I pointed out in my last Childish Gambino video, where he lets the kid sort of do the leading. Like, you can tell that this is not like him just being like, this is my kid, put him on Instagram, be a big star, you know? I'm not saying any other very famous rappers do that with their kids, but I get that feeling sometimes. But I don't know, I'm not in their lives. And so this probably is my favorite song on the album, just because it just oozes that connectedness between father and son, which is the answer. What kind of artist is Childish Gambino? Easy. He's Donald Glover. No excuses, more kind of breezy African sounds, sort of a shuffling sound, and nice little moment with these strings and a saxophone solo, almost like a dance hall instrumental bit. And then, I swear to God, there's some Herbie Hancock. You know, Watermelon Man? Oh my God, if you don't know Watermelon Man by Herbie Hancock, I just gave you the greatest gift in the world. I have given you the gift of second sight. You will listen to Watermelon Man by Herbie Hancock, and your life will never be the same again. You will be so happy. You're welcome. Just a beautiful outro, some vocoder coming in, some percussion, some organ. You know, I think this is, basically co-produced by Ludwig Göransson, who I didn't even understand that they came up together. It makes sense. They're just both so great. They both do such great stuff. This is when I talk about, like, not taking things for granted. Like, don't take this shit for granted. Just don't. That Denzel Curry album came out, And this album came out in the same week. We all want to be in the 60s. We all want to be, oh my God, Rubber Soul and Pet Sounds came out within a year. Awesome. That's cool. That's cool. Neither of these albums I'm talking about are Rubber Soul or Pet Sounds, but still, we got these two albums coming out in the same week. You just gotta appreciate. Next track's called Cruisin' featuring Yeet. Yee. Cool, weird, stilted rhythm, almost like frog sounds. Again, very kind of jungly, this album. Yeet is just perfect on here with his random warbles, and I can help you, please. I need help, can you help, please? This whole sense of help, which I think comes from creating these stronger connections to his family. Next track is called We Are God. What did he say in the first track? I have to wind back my notes over here. What was it in the first thing? 21 Savage joke. Okay, do the intro. Okay, hearts were meant to fly. Okay, what does he say? Oh, I'm God. That's what he said. That's how he started off. But what does he end it with? After he gets through the jungle of almost being Drake and almost being Kanye, we are God. Weird aspirations are the sounds, the melody and the rhythm. It's beautifully produced, and you can tell it's a soundtrack. Show me how to love someone as myself. We are God, because we are God. Okay, listen. I'm going to make a theological statement right here. God is love. If God exists, then in my opinion, God is love. I don't care what that God looks like to you. You look like Buddha, whatever. Look like L. Ron Hubbard. I don't care what God looks like to you. Don't care. But if God exists, God has to be love, I think. I don't think God can be anything but love. And certainly the feeling that you have of love, I think, is the closest we get to, like, anything, like, truly spiritual. So we are God makes sense. Because if he's talking about his child or his wife or someone that he loves like that, then you are God. Like, my love for my toddler and my two teenagers and my wife and my soon-to-be fourth kid, like, that is God. Do you get it? You get it? Do you get why that's better than having a jet? Oops. Capitalism screwed you over again. You thought you could win capitalism and be happy. You can't. You can't. Winning capitalism just means you have to play more capitalism. That's what you win. You can't win. It's a game that never ends. It's like that game, that's that Marble Madness game I used to have on my phone. It just keeps going. You keep throwing marbles and smashing little pyramids. And you just keep going and keep going. It gets faster and faster and faster and just more marbles until you freaking die. And this lyric, show me how to love someone as myself. Oh, this lyric. Ambiguity is a poet's... I was trying to say something profound and then I mispronounced it. Ambiguity is a poet's greatest tool. When you can say something and have it mean two things at once, it's very efficient. So show me how to love someone as myself is saying, like, show me how to love someone like me. Like, how can I be loved? And also show me how to love someone as myself. Like, show me how to love someone as Donald Glover or as Cody LeRae, right? Because as far as I can tell based on the movie, Bando Stone is a fake name, right? Bando's like a trap house, right? Like the Migos, right? Trapping out the bando with the stars on the windows, right? That's what a bando is. That's a term. I think the Migos even invented that term and popularized it, or at least they popularized it. As opposed to just calling it a trap, calling it a bando, right? Makes it more specific to Atlanta. As if you could be more specific to Atlanta, but doesn't matter. So Bando Stone, the reality of him is this Cody LeRae guy who's not a singer. He's a goofy-ass dad in a Hawaiian shirt and a Spam hat who's learning to love his kid. Because I assume that he falls in love with the woman and that he ends up becoming the father to the kid, right? That's what I assume happens in the movie. But, like, how do you love someone as yourself? That's a great question. Next track is Running Around, more kind of pop rock. Is he singing with a Canadian accent? I don't know. And then Fouché comes on here. Fouché? How do we pronounce her name? I don't know. I'm going to go with Fouché because I see an accent aigu there. And it becomes a Strokes song, which is good. If we're going to go into a rock area, I prefer Strokes imitation over Weezer imitation because it just sounds more interesting. Used to Call Me Runaway. He used to call me a runaway. Why doesn't he run away? Why doesn't he run away? Because he no longer runs away from his obligations. He no longer runs away from the people who depend on him. He doesn't run away. That's what you do. Dadvocate, beautiful title, weird underwater sounds, almost sounds like the teacher from Peanuts, with a cool, clear acoustic guitar, and this has a very clear thing, where he talks about a very clear arc thing. Let's use words, Professor. Shall we use words and not say thing? Hot in my office. It starts off in the first verse is like about his great big ego and how he's driving his ego's bigger than Tahoe, and he's driving a Bronco, and he has all this stuff, and he's like smoking in the morning because he's going 5 to 9, like he's talking about how all this money and all that. But then the second verse is like this beautiful verse where he's talking about laying on the couch, you a baddie in your outfit, using all the Wi-Fi, eating all the hot chips, sending me a message like I ain't in the next room, you ain't gotta worry, baby, daddy's gonna be home soon. Like he's texting with a family member and he's in the next room. Like he's close by. He's not gone. He's not a runaway. They used to call him a runaway, but now he's not a runaway. And that's how you survive, which is why the next track is called Happy Survival, because it's spiritual survival. This is survive. That's a Kendrick lyric. It's wild, isn't it? Isn't it? They're like Kendrick and Donald. This whole time I've been talking about Childish Gambino trying to avoid being Drake and Ye, and it just seems as though he might just end up as Kendrick. That's the happy ending? I don't know. This is the most soundtrack feeling sound here. Noodly, kind of Grateful Dead Jerry guitar. Beautiful drums on here. Sort of King Tubby dub style. And then the final track, A Place Where Love Goes. This right here, okay, this right here. Starts off with this kid legend singing, we don't care about the party, we just want to dance. And Donald Glover saying, unfortunately, that's a hit, because he knows that his kid just sang something and then that's going to be made a hit. And what does he do? He produces it, and then he brings in Max M. effing Martin. Hit me baby one more time, bye bye bye, Max Martin. Most of that last really good Weekend album, Max Martin. Look up Max Martin on Wikipedia and see all the pop hits. He is the pop maker, the rump shaker, par excellence in the history of the last 50 years. He is the man you go to make a pop hit, and you better be sure his stink is all over this, because this is it. This whole song, he's like combining everything. He has the pop sensibility of Drake, in addition to the avant-garde pushing of genres as Ye, with this very consciously Daft Punk sounding vocoder usage here. He's mixing them together, but then the theme of the whole song is not all I love is my mom in my bed, I'm sorry. The theme of the song is not I am a god, hurry up my damn croissants. It is this. All my life I had to try to survive, but it's all right now. We found a place where love goes. That's the freedom to find a home and to be around people who depend on you. That's the place where love goes. And this almost justice-like quoting of the singing, and you hear his son singing, and you hear him going, so it's like Max Martin and Daft Punk and Ye and Kendrick and Drake and Childish Gambino, and all together into this like perfectly crafted genreless every genre song all at the same time that fundamentally says what you really need to do in order to survive is you need to figure out where love goes. And if you're lucky, it's with a partner and a child or a children. There you go. There's my review. There's my analysis. Is it tainted by my own worldview? Of course it is. Because this is my life. This is why I'm a happy guy. I'm not a happy guy because I have 100,000 subscribers. I am happy about that, but that's not why I'm happy. All right. I'm sorry, Patreons. I forgot my little Patreon sheet here. I'm in my office, and it's just too hot. So anyways, but in case you were wondering, yeah, I do have a Jerry Lewis signed picture in my office. So, in case you were wondering. Speaking of geniuses, there's the camera.